Yes, a very warm welcome to you and thank you for joining us on Health and Wellness. My name is Zaitun Ali, and on today's episode, I'm so grateful that you made the time to just tune in and get to learn with me. We are talking about sickle cell anemia, and this is a serious inherited blood disorder that affects the shape of the red blood cells. And normally, these red blood cells are round and flexible, just in a normal, healthy human being, and it allows them to actually move easily through the blood vessels. But in this case, where we have sickle cell anemia, some of these red blood cells become very stiff and sticky, so forming an abnormal crescent shape. And we want to know more about this disorder and how just to manage it and treat it. Joining me on set, I have Dr. Samuel Mbunya. He is an advocacy relations consultant for blood disorders. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I also have handsome boys. Handsome boys. Eh? Even though I come smile. So Tinsley and Bryson, they are survivors of this condition as well. How are you guys? You can use the microphone and say hi to me.
Hi.
What's your name?
Tinsley.
Tinsley who?
Tinsley Lijondo.
Ai, unakwanga msha hivi Tinsley. Hebu angalia hiyo kamera uambie your name. Hii hapa tu mbele, hii hapa mbele. Say your name is who and who?
My name is Tinsley Lijondo.
Wow, sawa. And this is your brother next to you?
Yes.
Haya, brother. Tuambie jina yako.
My name is Bryson Mwale.
Kwa sauti. Iko on. Ni wewe tu unafaa uongee na ile sauti unasumbuanga mami nayo. Hiyo.
My name is Bryson Mwale.
Bryson Mwale. Okay, and we also have Rhoda Mwale, who is the mother to these amazing boys, and I know she'll share her experience and her testimony about now dealing with this condition. Karibu sana to the show.
Asante.
Yes, we're glad to have you. And even as I've just talked briefly, Daktari, about what sickle cell anemia is, I just want you to enforce on it as the expert. Yeah.
Well, so I'll just put it in such a way so that everybody understands in a layman term.
Thank you.
As mentioned, sickle cell disease is an inherited blood disorder that affects the red blood cells. So the normal red blood cell is usually round, and they can go in terms of flow through the bloodstream very easily. But this genetic disorder affects basically the red blood cells which are being produced by the bone marrow. And the red blood cells become sickle-shaped, as you mentioned. And when these cells stick together and they clump together, they become a bit difficult to flow through the blood system. Yeah. And what it does, it sticks within the blood vessels, and hence they have a bit of an issue called sickle cell crisis. And this painful crisis can actually be seen as early as 6 months of age. And what happens is they get swelling of the hands and the feet, and also they are, in the night they usually would be crying, of course, and that indicates that there is a possible probable cause of sickle cell disease.
So it's a condition that even you can get it at birth?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So sickle cell is a genetic disorder, of course, that you actually get the gene from the mother and the father. And it's a probability, about 1 in 4 chance of parents being able to get these children to have sickle cell. Not all children who are born from the 2 parents would have this gene. Some would have the gene, some would have the disease. You need to have 2 of these genes. And basically, in the beginning, once the babies are born, yes, you definitely see that indication through the swelling of the hands and the feet, and of course, in the night when they're crying.
Okay. And I'd like to hear from you, Rhoda, before I even engage the boys. How has the experience been? Like he said, it's a genetic disease that actually probably the parents will have the genes to now dispose to the boys. Imekuwaje sasa?
Okay, as to me,
yeah.
This is a very difficult journey. Na kuwa safari ngumu, like for this one here, he was detected when he was 5 years old.
Tinsley.
Yeah, Tinsley.
Sasa yako miaka ngapi?
Tinsley is 8.
8, okay.
And Bryson here, amekuwa detected akiwa 9 years.
Okay.
Yeah. But imekuwa ni safari ngumu, ile ambayo inahitaji at least unakuwa na watu wa kukushikilia. Kwa sababu in most cases Hii kitu haina ati ile time yenye imekupatia. Inatokea abruptly. It can be at night, midday, evening, ina strike any minute. Na once ikistrike, watu wanakuwa na uchungu kupita kiasi. Unaweza kuwa unamwona venye ameketi hivi, the next minute haezi manage kukaa because of the back pains.
Okay.
Haezi tembea kwa sababu inagonga mostly joints. Ikimshika kifua, inakuwa hata ni ngumu hata kupumua. So wako na challenges mingi sana.
Na Bryson yeye anapitianga, so yake ya Tensley ilianza ndio ya
Akiwa
Bryson
5 years,
ikafuata.
huyu amekuwa detected. So it was recently, the day before yesterday, there's another one who was also detected.
Your child?
Yeah.
Uko na watatu?
13 years.
Na even before we continue,
Yeah.
ulikuwa na idea when you're giving birth to them, ulikuwa unajua hii mambo ya sickle cell?
When I gave birth to them, in
Yeah.
fact, mimi sikuwa najua anything about sickle cell. Sickle cell ni kitu mimi nilisoma shule na nikaona ni kama tu story.
Okay.
Sikujua ati one day ita happen kwangu.
Okay.
Hata wakati Tensley alikuwa detected, nilikuwa chini sana.
Kuna saa unafikiria labda ungejua unaweza
i-prevent. Unaweza i-prevent. Saa zingine unaona hata maybe hungeendelea na hiyo safari.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And daktari, because so many people don't know about it. You're talking about genes and we are not told this. Me, I'm here, I want to get married, I want to have a baby, you know? And then you come, can it be detected even in your journey of pregnancy? And is there a way that we probably can prevent?
Well, so during the journey of pregnancy, it's a bit difficult to detect this.
Yeah.
Of course, it's we have to really get to understand the process towards pregnancy. And love is blind, as they say.
Kabisa.
And yes, of course. And also, because it's becoming a discussion of interest now, that sickle cell disease is a problem. We're getting to see them in the communities. Umesikia already, they were detected.
As well.
Yeah, and the sibling as well, but they were detected later.
5
So 5 years. And you can actually detect within, basically at birth. So newborn screening is one of the key areas of interest in terms of detecting early. Now, the fact that, for example, you want to marry or you have a boyfriend or girlfriend and you are thinking of having children, the point is to know your sickle cell status. And all it requires is to do a test. Kitambo, or a long time ago, it was a bit difficult to have access to these diagnostic tools, and they're quite costly. And now there's access to these tools. They've become a bit cheaper. Technology has improved. And you can do a point-of-care screening test, just like the HIV or malaria test, that you can just do a prick of a blood, basically a finger prick, and you can actually test within 15 minutes you have your results. That is the point where you have to understand through genetic counseling. That's also another thing.
Okay.
You have to do genetic counseling. You go through a process where you understand before you do the testing. And then once you do the testing, you know the result of this particular test, then you can make an informed decision. As healthcare professionals, we don't tell individuals that you're not supposed to have children even if you've been detected to have
So you can't
the
tell
gene.
someone that.
Of course not, but we educate. We do the genetic counseling and we provide the relative information. So education is really, really important in the communities.
Yeah.
And once you have that empowerment and you understand this particular condition and the associated risks that come with it, then you can make an informed decision once you want to get a child or not. And as I've mentioned, it's a probability. The first child might have the disease, the second, or the first child might have the gene, or not, or none.
So there's the gene and there's now the disease, and you can have both.
No, so with the disease, you need to have both genes.
Where?
You have to have one from the father, one from the mother. But you can still get one gene from either of the parent, but this gene does not mean that you have the disease, but you are a carrier of this gene.
So for Tensley and Bryson, both the mom and the dad have the genes.
Ideally, yes.
Ideally.
And of course, we have to back it up with science. We have to back it up with these testing tools.
Have you ever tested, Ruda?
Yeah.
Ukapata uko na hiyo gene?
Mimi sina.
Wewe huna?
Yeah.
Baba?
Ako naye.
Ah. So is this possible? Yeah.
Not possible. It's a bone to contention. I think it's the education part is very important.
Na anasema ni test.
Anafaa kutest tena.
Oh, really?
We would have to do a confirmatory test. So I'm not so sure which test she did, because there's a number of levels of tests that you need to do or can be done,
Yes.
depending on which facility you're going to.
Okay.
The lower level facilities, they have a sickling test, which ideally is just seen under the microscope. It's they do some analysis on it, and also through a peripheral blood film, which can also just look at the cells in general, the shape of the cells.
Okay.
So with the sickling test, for example, it will not tell you that you have the disease or you have the gene. It will just show the red blood cell is different shapes. Now, the level that you go is a bit higher, where you do a confirmatory test, which is called HB electrophoresis, hemoglobin electrophoresis. Now, that will consider or basically determine the level at which you have this gene. And for the kids, fetal hemoglobin is where we actually see if they have the fetal hemoglobin that actually supports or assists with the cells being round. And so we would definitely recommend, especially in this particular case,
To do a test.
to do a confirmatory test with renowned laboratories. There's Lancet, but I think now even all hospitals have.
So,
We are advocating, and that is why I'm an advocate now
Yeah.
for these blood disorders, to empower and educate individuals who are even in these situations where they're told that ulifanya test in a particular facility, and then the mother and the father, they start having a bit of a brush off.
so it happens.
It
Anakwambia
happens.
ni wewe ndio umefanya.
Yes.
Okay.
Even in the US, we've seen these court cases which
Yeah.
are seen on TV, where they say, the mother says, no, I didn't have this gene, and so on and so forth. But experts have really put it outrightly clear that a confirmatory test has to be done.
Aya, Roda umesikia? Tutaangalia. Na boys, msiboeke. Tensley, let me hear from you. Nikuulize, hata unajua umekuja hapa leo kufanya nini? Haujui? Au umekuja kunisalimia? Unakumbuka jina yangu kwanza? Eka mic.
No,
Au ukumbuki jina yangu? Naitwa Zaitun. Naitwa nani?
Zaitun.
Ama Auntie Mado. Anyway, unasikianga uchungu wapi? Na unajua afya yako inaendeleaje? Labda unaweza tuambia. Ukiangalia juu, unaangalia kamera. Unajua wewe ndio the next
Dr. Sam.
Alimanzo hapa wa TV, si ndio? Ama Swali Mdoe. Sasa angalia kamera ukituambia, si ndio? How do you feel? Unasikianga aje ukisikia mgonjwa?
Uchungu sana.
Wapi?
Kichwa.
Kichwa,
Huko magoti. Na kwa mgongo.
Na kwa mgongo. Na ukisikia hivyo ushaikupata ukiwa shule? Alafu
Tutoka na mbelele kidogo.
venye ulilala ilisaidia?
Mm.
But ukaenda hosi baadaye? Inakujanga mara ngapi?
Moja.
Mara moja. Siku ya mwisho ulipata uchungu hiyo ilikuwa lini?
Monday.
Eka hivi tukusikie. Nice talk.
Monday.
Monday.
Oh.
It was this Monday. Aya, na nakumbuka. Bryson na wewe, pacha Bryson atuambie. Nani mkubwa? Bryson ni wewe? Uko grade?
4.
Grade 4. Okay. Hebu tuambie, tuelezee venye wewe unasikia.
Nasikianga nimechoka nikitoka kuamka.
Kwa?
Nikiamka.
Hivi ndo mnapiganga kelele shule? Hebu ongea kwa sauti nikusikie vizuri.
Nasikianga nimechoka nikitoka kuamka.
Oh, kuamka. Ile fatigue kidogo uchovu. Unaamka usikii kwenda shule?
Yes.
Alafu na nini ingine?
Nasikianga pia nisikia kutapika.
Oh. Mara mingi ama ukikula ama inakujanga saa ngapi?
Nikimaliza kukula.
Unasikia kutapika. Hiyo inasumbua appetite yako? Unakula kidogo sasa juu ya hiyo? Ama unapenda food?
Napenda.
Ukifanya uko kwa mchezo? Are you playing anything in school?
Yes.
Unacheza nini?
Football.
Football. Na inakusumbuanga ukicheza?
Yes.
Aje?
Nikicheza nipigwa na ball kwa tumbo ni utapika.
Oh, so in case ikuguse pahali unasikia kutapika. Hata unatapika kabisa.
Yes.
Okay. Na wewe ya mwisho, when was the last time you felt that?
Yesterday.
Jana?
Yes.
But haikuwa mbaya sana.
Yes.
Ni kama leo umekuja, si ndio?
Yes.
Na kupumua, unapumua vizuri. Inasumbua kifua?
No.
Oh, okay. So mom, aki boys wanasema clearly wanajua uchungu ikikuja. And how do you even manage it? What are the kind of symptoms that they portray and how do you manage?
Most of the time, kama huyu zikienda kuanza huwa tensely. Anaweza toka huku unaona kama amekuja kama amehema na nguvu, anakuja na kuongea na kuambia hasikia akipumua vizuri. Na akikaa unasikia anaanza kuambia naumwa na kichwa in the morning. Mostly wanakuanga na very severe headache.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kiamka unasikia anakuambia amechoka, anaumwa na kichwa. Lakini sasa tuna administer dawa kwa sababu kuna zile dawa tumeruhusiwa kuwapatia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Na daktari?
Yeah.
So uko na dozi yake?
Yeah.
Per day? They take it daily?
They are daily medication.
Oh, okay. Kuna time washai have kupatiwa damu?
Most of the time kama hawa damu yao haibustiwi na hizi blood boosters. Is either unaiboost na matunda na mboga.
Okay. Mnapenda matunda? Unakula mboga sana? Yes. Eka microphone.
Yes.
Kila siku?
Yes.
Na matunda?
Yes.
Unapenda?
Yes.
Na pia intensely?
Ndio.
Sasa most of the time inabidi ujikaze na mboga na matunda.
Okay.
Kwa sababu atubusti damu yao na nini na hizi dawa. Tumeambiwa kuna hiyo iron poison. So tusiwapatie hizo blood boosters. Na ikirudi chini lazima ni transfusion tu.
So how does that work, Doctor?
Well, they say there's various therapies.
Yes.
When it comes to sickle cell disease.
And even before the therapies, talk about their symptoms.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Mama's kind of said it all, and most of the times it's the painful crisis where it as mentioned about the red blood cells not flowing to the right places, and there's all sorts of symptoms from chest pains. Sometimes they even have something called leg ulcers. And because the red blood cells don't have enough oxygen because of this sticky red cells, the sticky cells, which basically don't go, or basically the oxygen don't go to the right places. They also have issues around stroke because of the blood flow, and also at the same time they would have something called priapism, so that is for the older boys, and it's more around painful issues on the penis because of the blood flow, yet again. But we yes, of course, and it's all about the immune system. It's also a bit compromised, and that's why they are looking after themselves in terms of their diet. They need to eat very well, increase these red blood cell levels. Or hemoglobin levels. So the anemia part is where the hemoglobin is low, and they'll have issues around, you know, just the blood flow in general, where they don't have that access to, you know, oxygen.
Okay.
I'll mention something about malaria as well. It's more like a super cell. So if you've watched Supercell, the series on Netflix,
No.
you should
Ni ya
watch it.
madaktari?
Ni ya kila mtu. So they are considered to be like superheroes, where they are immune to malaria because of the genes and the parasites not being able to affect most of the red blood cells or the percentage. But if they get malaria, it can be deadly. So if you understand where sickle cell is mostly where malaria endemic zones are. So Western Coast, and then of course Nairobi because of intermarriages and people living in the big city.
Yes.
And we encourage them to also have these medicines for prophylaxis, medicines for malaria, so that they prevent malaria, of course. Folic acid is an important drug. Hydroxyurea is the drug that she's also talking about, where they take it daily.
Yes.
And the hydroxyurea assists with this fetal hemoglobin so that they're able to have the normal cell shape. So it's a wonder drug that actually changes the cells from sickled to round. Bone marrow transplant is also another therapy, but that is also a little bit expensive. It's not even here in Kenya. You have to go to India or other parts of the world. But the symptoms can be managed with the medications, appropriate, taking care of themselves with being warm, drinking a lot of water. So water is very, very essential for people living with sickle cell.
Okay.
And the water basically water is life, so oxygen is H2O.
Yeah.
So it replaces the issues around the red blood cells, but also at the same time it just makes them not like withered, and for them to have a normal active life.
Okay. And we just want to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back with more of the treatment process and how to manage it. Ma'am, pia wewe utatuambia at least how you've been managing all these years. How long has it been? Sasa wako na miaka ngapi?
This one is 8, this one is 10.
Okay, 8 and 10.
Yeah.
Now huyu alipata akiwa 5.
5.
So like 3 years. Yeye 9. So yeye ni last year, like 1 year ago.
Yeah.
Okay, sawa. We'll come and discuss more about the management of this condition. And as you're taking this short commercial break, be sure to check out Lugo Collection on their Instagram pages and also on their website. They are courtesy of my suits, amazing suits here. They make bespoke suits for ladies and gentlemen, and they're also located at Muktadada Street, that is opposite Jivanji Garden, up on Dania CBD. So check them out at Lugo Collection. Also, holla at us and interact with us in case you have any questions for Daktari. 0759-434389 is our WhatsApp number, and also at KTN Home _ on our socials. We are coming right back. Yes, remember, this is Health and Wellness. My name is Zaitun Ali, and the topic of discussion has been sickle cell anemia. So still in studio, I have Dr. Samuel Mbunya. He is an advocacy relations consultant for blood disorders. I also have Rhoda Mwale, a mom to these amazing boys living with sickle cell. And the boys, wanaitwa nani? Tensley and Bryson. They've given us the experience of how it's been, the symptoms that they undergo. And right now, we just want to know about the management, the treatment process, and even nilikuwa nakuuliza about the diagnosis before the break, and it's something I didn't really ask. So they have to do a test for you to determine if you have the sickle cell, and it is the hemoglobin
electrophoresis.
Wewe, okay. Mpaka mama umejua hizi terms. And even as we're going through this, Rhoda, I know it's not been easy for you in terms of probably most of the people are telling you, we are blaming you for this. Oh, why didn't you check earlier? Mbono ukuambiwa mapema? Mbono kwenda kuangalia mapema? So how do you deal with such even before we come to the treatment process?
Katika hii hali ni kutanguliza Mungu, kwa sababu nimekuambia kwanza ni hali ngumu. Kwanza mostly watu wakishasikia uko na ugonjwa kama hii kwa familia, wengi wanakuondokea. wengi wanakuondokea. Sasa mnabaki mnalaumiana vile daktari amesema, ni wewe, ni wewe, ni wewe, ni wewe. At the end of the mwisho ni sasa ni unabaki, ni mama ndio unabaki na watoto. But sasa as a mother inabidi sasa you just have to struggle. Yeah.
So in terms of the medication, how has it been seeking for treatment? And hata daktari tulikuwa nakuuliza, does it have a cure? Have you ever been hopeful for a cure, Rhoda?
No. As for me, wakati nilikuwa najaribu kufanyiwa counseling, kwa sababu it hit me so hard. Wakati nilikuwa najaribu kufanyiwa counseling, daktari anakuambia that's a lifetime medication. Na sasa huwezi kataa. Inakubidi tu utakubali at least you heal. Yeah. Kwa sababu the more unaendelea kukataa, the more hiyo kitu inakuumiza zaidi. In the first place mimi nilikuwa nimekataa.
How did you even end up going for counseling, Aki? Ilikuwa hivyo mbaya?
Ilibidi. This boy alikaa ICU for 2 months.
Tensely?
Yes.
When was that?
That was the year 2020. He was in PICU for 2 months.
My God.
In the first place si hatukuwa tunajua. So tulilala, kuamka asubuhi mtoto amefura kila mahali. Sasa mimi nasikia wenzake wananiambia, mami, Tinsley amenona tu overweight. Kufikia asubuhi amenona zaidi. Lakini kufikia sasa masaa ya mchana akaanza kushindwa kupumua. So tulijaribu kukimbia Metropolitan, kufika Metropolitan kaambiwa hapana. Tukapewa referral Kenyatta.
Yeah.
Kwenda kufika huko wakijaribu kumpima wanasema ako na multi-inflammatory infections. Kila kiungo ya mwili imekuwa affected.
Oh, no.
So ilibidi wamrusha ICU. It was hard.
Na bado kuna wengine hapa wanakungojea bado.
Yeah. Kuna wengine nyuma bado wanakuangalia na ni wewe tu.
Before that Bryson yake
haikuwa imekuwa detected. Yeah.
2 months.
Yeah.
After
hapo sasa ile recovery process, kwa sababu alitoka akiwa so weak. Tulikaa for 7 months.
Alikuwa ameanza shule?
Yeah, alikuwa shule sasa, lakini sasa hiyo mwaka yote ilienda hivyo.
Sasa akarudia. Oh my God. Tensely. Unaweza kumbuka hiyo siku? Mama anasema. Mpatie mic. Unaweza kumbuka kweli? Haukumbuki? Haukumbuki hata hiyo uchungu venye ulikuwa unasikia?
Ndio.
Na ukitoka venye ulitoka hospitali kurecover, watu wakukuuliza ulienda wapi, shule?
Hawakuniuliza.
Hawakuuliza?
Yeah.
Na unachezanga nao aje? Wanajua uko na hii condition? Do you know what condition you're suffering from? Unajua inaitwa aje? Inaitwa aje?
Sickle cell.
Sickle cell. Unajua inafanya aje mwili?
Hapana.
Ulielezewa na nani?
Mom.
Na mom? How did you now sit them down and get to explain to them what they are suffering from, Rhoda?
Sometimes inabidi tukae na wao, tuongee. Kwa sababu wanakuuliza, mom, mbona hii iko hivi na hivi na hivi? Unaona? So the more unakataa kumuelezea, the more atakuwa curious
sana.
Yeah. So inabidi tunakaa chini, tunaongea.
Yes.
Hata wakati mwenzao amekuwa detected, wakaona nampea hiyo dawa. So waliniuliza, mami, mbona unapatia huyu dawa yetu? Nikamwambia hapana. Daktari amesema atumie for 5 days.
Pia sasa ameianza kabisa. How did it make you feel when he was last detected, the last one?
Ilikuwa ngumu. Ilikuwa ngumu. In fact, nilikaa for 2 days kwa nyumba kaa nimejifungia, hata sitaki kuongea na mtu.
Are you still going for counseling?
No.
But I think do you need to? I think you need to. Haita kwa utanga manage peke yako, si ndio?
Kitu moja mimi huwa nashukuru. Sasa kama familia yangu at least wamenishikilia.
Kabisa.
Yeah. Familia yangu hao wamenishikilia, lakini the other side hao walisema hii ni ya kwenu.
Daktari. See what she's going through.
Yes, this is something that I've witnessed for the past, let's say, since 2015. Having worked in Eldoret at Moi Teaching Referral Hospital through the AMPATH program as a program administrator, I as much as I was in the office, but I encountered and interacted with patients, people living with this condition, and their caregivers. So she's a caregiver. There is a lot of issues that needs to be addressed in terms of ensuring that before genetic counseling, they are informed of this disease and this condition. If newborn screening hasn't been done, you do the genetic counseling, of course, when the kids are being tested as well. So it's pre and post counseling. And then, of course, in the issue of stigma is one of the biggest problems, where people, like, especially the women, are ostracized because they blame it on them, and the men say that it is not our issue. So what they do, they'll go to another woman, probably who has this gene, they'll have kids together, and then they'll probably have children with sickle cell. Again.
So it's being spread.
Exactly. And it's all around education and empowerment, just to understand how this genetic condition works.
And did you say, actually, if you know you're a carrier of the gene, you can prevent now your offsprings from getting it?
You can predetermine by, of course, by the other person that you're going to have the children with.
So you ensure the other person
is also tested to know their sickle cell status.
If they're not, at least
they're
chances
not,
are high that your child
they'll
will
just have they'll have the gene or not. So as a carrier, you'll still have the probability of giving it to the offspring. So it's all probabilities.
Venye tunaweza zuia kabisa kabisa.
Well, so there is new therapies that have been made or approved, FDA approved, US approved, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's genetic therapy.
Yeah, the one you're saying, $2 million.
Yeah. So you can only imagine where we are going with $2 million. And yet, Mama here, Rhoda, and the 2 kids and the 3 kids, she will have to take care of them with these medicines which they have to take daily.
Okay, throughout their life.
Throughout their life. And it's not cheap. It's actually very expensive. In a month, roughly, you would spend maybe a couple of thousands.
Yeah.
Couple of thousands, maybe even 5, even to almost 10, because she has many kids.
Yeah.
And it's from medicines to testing to ensure that they see all the organs are functional, because the organs are the ones which are heavily affected.
It actually affects other organs.
All organs. So the stigma, going back to stigma and raising awareness in the communities goes a long way for Rhoda and other women who are going through the same problem, where they get ostracized and they are shunned away from families and from the communities. And they also feel that they're not really heard. So psychosocial support is very key.
Please emphasize
and
that
crucial
to her, in terms
and
of...
to many other women and men who are going through the same problem. Because when they were making the babies, they didn't know about it. But after the babies are born and the issues start being seen as soon as 6 months, then they start having these problems. The psychosocial support is very key, and patient support groups are very crucial. So they're either facility-based, community-based, or national. Of late, since 2020, we constituted the Sickle Cell Federation of Kenya, which is the umbrella body that supports all organizations dealing with sickle cell disease in this country. And there are around 30 to 40 organizations who are advocating for sickle cell.
Yeah.
Now, the psychosocial support is very crucial so that they get to understand the issues that they are going through. They can share the experiences, which of course is very crucial to be able to just let it go, let it all out. And for the women, it's a way of just being able to support each other and empower each other. For the men, of course, we also emphasize that the men need to also understand that this is not a one-way street. It's a 2 to tango. It takes 2 to tango on this one. And as mentioned, love is blind. So instead of saying that, no, I don't want to be with this mama because of the children, that is their own family issue, and going to another woman to have children, we inform them that it's very crucial that these children need to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Parents, even in general, parents just need to put aside some of these issues, differences, or the issues that are seen with stigma, and focus on the children because they're already here. And also at the same time, just ensure that the kids feel that they are being taken care of, they're being loved, they are being empowered and supported, even in the schools,
Yeah.
where we do, for example, education and training for healthcare professionals. In the schools, we visit schools. When I say we, I work with a lot of entities in the country
Okay.
and abroad. And these entities that deal with education and training to patient advocacy, and also working with the national government and county governments to raise this awareness, is very, very crucial.
Okay.
So we encourage a lot of support, even in the religious communities as well, for them to be accepted and for them to support the whole journey and the process towards them having a whole life, a whole life that really they can live up to
Quality
even
life.
100 years.
I know.
Quality life.
And talking about the
yes,
lifespan.
yes. The oldest person living with sickle cell in the country
Is?
is around 65, almost going to 70.
Wow.
And he hails from Kisii County. We know him.
There's hope.
There is hope. And World Sickle Cell Day is actually June 19th. And this is celebrated across the country, across the globe. And the recent one was in Kisii. And
Oh, where this survivor is.
yeah, and they're actually called warriors. So they're
Warriors.
called sickle cell warriors.
Sickle cell warriors.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they are truly warriors. They really fight the pain.
Wow.
Because it just comes, vile mama alisema, it just comes like that.
It has to come with that much pain.
Yeah, it comes just like that. And it's called a crisis. It's a sickle cell crisis because it comes immediately. Don't know what to do. The child doesn't even, probably is not even able to explain themselves on how they feel. They'll say, niko na pain mahali fulani, I just feel some pain here and there. But if eventually it actually becomes a bit of even a more problem, where they are in really painful crisis, and it can be even deadly. So managing the symptoms early enough, detect and also for the mothers and the fathers to understand how the symptoms come along
Yes.
early enough,
Yes.
and they can be rushed to the emergency department, and within the emergency departments they can be taken care of with pain medications. So the pain medications support and alleviate the pain as they try to find out how best they can address that particular issue at that point, depending on where the crisis is coming from. Other associated issues are hip issues. They actually even get hip replacements.
So these are long,
it's a long list of associated...
long-lasting impacts of now the disease.
Yes, yes. Even eye problems.
In terms of eye problems, what do you mean?
Vision. And they get jaundice as well. They'll have jaundice.
Yeah.
The liver is affected. And, you know, we definitely encourage that once they are seen within these institutions, with these facilities, and we have been educating and training healthcare professionals to understand this condition. She even said she read it in the books.
Rhoda.
Some people didn't know much about sickle cell, including healthcare professionals.
Exactly.
They'll be taught in medical schools just a bit about these blood disorders, including hemophilia. I'll just mention hemophilia as well because they are related.
Can they be misdiagnosed?
No.
Okay. So this one is
The
very clear.
misdiagnosis comes from this sickling test that I had mentioned.
Okay.
We say misdiagnosis because it's not a confirmatory test, and you can still manage the symptoms once you have a sickling test result in a poor resource setting where they don't have access to these tools. There's point of care tools that have been brought on board, validated within the country, and we are really encouraging to have access to these tools and these medications. One hydroxyurea drug tablet is maybe around between 30 to 40 shillings.
Now,
And they'll take how many?
Ni 40.
50.
50 bob. So it depends.
Kila
And you go
siku.
to even a poor resource setting, it could be even 80 bob.
So hiyo ni 150 kwa siku.
Na wewe ni moja.
Na hujanunua nyanya, hujanunua kitunguu.
Hujanunua PNV, hujanunua folic.
Yeah.
Or pia folic.
Yeah.
Or folic helps in development ama. So the okay.
It's an array
They
of
require
medicines.
folic.
Yes, they
Ah.
require folic acid too. It's an array of medicines that they really have to take religiously on a daily basis, and for them to live that quality life that we're looking for.
Yeah.
And we are, working very closely with other stakeholders, including pharmaceuticals, and advocating for access and
At
to
least
affordability.
Yeah.
Pulling it down. But also another thing that, through these programs which are existing in the country, for example, in Ampath, I'll still mention again, is something called the revolving fund pharmacy, where these institutions would have some money to buy these medicines, and they stock them in a revolving fund pharmacy where, like, the mother would come with an X amount of shillings, they would pay that X amount of shillings, and they'll receive the month's supply of medicines.
Okay. Whatever you have.
Whatever you have.
Okay.
Whatever money is collected can be used to add to other funds which are already existing. But this model is something that I think we need to really advocate for the government to put in place as well.
Oh, it's not yet
yes,
implemented.
but with stakeholders, because it's a multi-stakeholder approach, we have a number of counties in Western Kenya especially who are under the Ampath programs, and they are being supported in terms of this revolving fund.
When it's implemented, please make sure Rhoda is amongst the first there.
I've already spoken to her.
Yeah.
Part of what I do in my advocacy work is to listen,
Yes.
and be able to learn and understand.
So you've learned something from her.
A lot of things, and if anything, the trend is the same. Anywhere you go, where the mothers have these issues. And I really feel hearty around it, because when you see a mother with 2-3 children with sickle cell, it's very, very difficult.
I know.
Very difficult. So we encourage that connectivity, that empowerment, and being able to support the whole system, the whole macroeconomic, financial, socio-economic status, and so on and so forth. And it's unfortunate that majority of the people who are affected by this disease are from, like the
middle income,
and even really low income. Majority of people living with these conditions are in Western Kenya. Majority, just because of the population size. We'll just go like that.
Really?
Population size, of course. Half of the population of Kenya is Western, by the way, and Western is Western Nyanza.
Yeah.
And we know that Western, when it comes to having kids, they love at least 3 or 4 plus.
Hatusemi wewe Rhoda. Asemi wewe, by the way. Yeah. But at least nowadays, have you been able to at least spot the symptoms, how they come, and at least take action as soon as possible when you see it from them?
Yeah, sasa najua hata kabla niambie najua.
Unajua. Aje.
Najua kama unaona kama like case ya Bryson.
Yeah.
Bryson anaweza amka macho iko so yellow. Nikimwona macho iko yellow ile kabisa, ukimfuata kwa choo akienda kukojoa na kojoa mkojo nyeusi. Sasa from there naanzana na yeye haraka haraka.
Okay. Yeye yake.
Huyu atakwambia hapumui vizuri.
Okay.
Akianza kuambia hapumui vizuri, anza kumfuatilia. Kwa sababu itaanza sipumui vizuri, kifua inaniuma, mgongo inaniuma. Mama, hii mguu inaniuma, siwezi tembea.
No. Now the other one, have you learned?
The other one, most of the time yeye huamka amechoka. So unajua mara ya kwanza before nijue, mimi nilikuwa najua either hii kitu inaweza gonga kama mtoto mmoja kwa familia ama wawili.
I know. I also thought the same.
Si kutarajia ati inaweza chukua more than 2.
Ukweli.
So huyu alikuwa anaamka saa zingine akitoka bedroom unaona na corona ni msichana mkubwa. Sasa mimi naona ni kama anajaribu kunimoka, hataki kwenda shule. Unaona. So naamka na inaanza kumtetesha. But as time goes by, akaanza mara kona uchungu ya mgongo na haiishi. Akana hata akisimama hivyo na kuambia haezi amka straight, haezi lala. Until amekuwa detected tena pia na yeye sickle.
But now you've also added someone to your list in terms of your support system. Make sure umeshika huyu mkono.
Yeah.
Baada ya hapa muandamane mali mtaandamana. In terms of advocacy, you're doing a very good job. So just help Rhoda and others just like her. Na naomba upatie watu mawaidha moja mbili on how to deal with it in terms of acceptance and also caregiving. You yourself, I know you're not even in the right space to do it, to give support, because you also need support as well. But how do you just go on every single day to ensure hawa wako sawa na pia wewe uko sawa? So kamera yako ni ile utawaambia.
Okay, mimi ile kitu naweza ambia wale ambao wamepatikana na hii janga ni kitu ya kwanza wajikubali. Wakubali imetendeka. Na wapende watoto. Usikuje ukaona ati huyu like me, kuna wakati niliambiwa I can't take care of these kids because they're dying. But with me nilichukulia, lakini nikaona the most ile zawadi naweza pea watoto wangu ni kuwapenda. So mimi ile kitu naweza ku encourage yule mwenye ako huko nje anangangana na hii janga ya sickle cell, ajikubali, apende watoto na atangulize Mungu katika kila jambo.
Yes.
Na in most cases wasinyamaze, let them talk. Unajua the more unaongea the more hiyo kitu inakutoka. Yeah. So mimi ile kitu naweza waambia wasinyamaze ati mtu akae chini anajifungia mahali, hapana, ongea. Kuna ule Mungu ataguza mmoja, wawili, watatu, at least wataku encourage na watakushikilia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Umesikia kuna ule mwenye ameishi mpaka 65 ama 70. So
going to 70.
there's hope.
Yeah.
Lifespan itaongezeka now that you're more aware about it. And tunaomba ukwe na hiyo nguvu zaidi na zaidi na zaidi. Me, I'm praying for total healing and it is possible. Faith. Sawa. So pia wewe usichoke and at least you'll also get help, I know, from daktari hapa. My boys, time imeisha. Simtuambie bye. Mnataka kulala? Mtuambie bye. Tuambie kitu moja yenye unataka kuambia marafiki zako huko, that at least they be gentle with you, they know what you're going through. Si ndio? Na shule wasikusumbue sana. Hebu wasalimie, uambie. Uko kwa TV, hebu wasalimie. Kaa vizuri. Good boy. Wako poa. Ni venye hawezi jibu. Leta nikuashie. You've switched off the mic, yeah? Check. Iko sawa? Asante. Haya, now you can talk.
Mamboni.
Waangalie pale.
Mamboni.
Oh, ndio huyu wewe. Hawatajibu lakini endelea, wamesikia.
Ndio pale. Kwani wapendi?
Mike.
Upendi mabeshte zako?
Nawapenda.
Wasalimie.
Wasalimie.
Mamboni.
Wapenda.
Nawapenda.
Sawa. Bryson.
Sasedi. Nimewamiss na ninawapenda.
Good. Asante sana. Hata mimi nimekumiss na nakupenda. And I'm praying for healing, si ndio? Hii uchungu mnasema itaisha. Sawa? So you just take your meds, mboga mkule, matunda. Si ndio? Hata leo nawatumanishia fruits kwa mami. Si ndio? Mwende mkule. Na mpatie sister yenu pia. Haya, sawa. Thank you for coming. Haya, daktari.
Yes.
One last word tumalize. You're welcome.
Love is blind. It takes two to tango with sickle cell. So we are encouraging, or I am encouraging, that you need to know your sickle cell status. Newborn screening is very crucial when babies are born. And also at the same time, let us support the warriors in the communities. They are just like you and me. And also, we want to encourage them. They are very smart people, by the way. And let us encourage them to live happy lives. One way or the other, you either know a person living with sickle cell or someone who is affected by this condition. And for the healthcare professionals, let us ensure that we take care of them. For government, we are advocating so that we can continue supporting these patients and their caregivers ensure that medicines are available and also the diagnostic tools.
Where can they find you?
Oh, I'm not on Facebook, but I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me as Dr. Samuel Misiani Mbunya. And also my website is www.mbunya.health. A CEO and founder of Dr. Mbunya Health and Leadership Consultancy in Kenya and also in Sweden.
Wow. Anafanya mambo makubwa huyu daktari hapa. Usimwone vivi hivi, lakini what we're trying to say is sickle cell is not a death sentence, and we'll be here for it at that time that we can be able to eradicate it completely. And we have hope and we have faith that also the lifespan is going to increase. Thank you so much for tuning in into Health and Wellness. My name is Zaitun Ali. Find this episode on YouTube at KTN Home. Also go and check out Lugo Collections, like I've said. Amazing suits, bespoke suits. They do an amazing job. So at KTN Home _ on IG, on X, and at Ali _ Zaitun on Instagram. Until next time, see you later.